The journey we're taking is the journey within you. Everybody has their own story and their own journey to share. Every journey conceals another journey within its lines, the path not taken and the forgotten angle. Listen to the stories from others sharing their triumphs and struggles that led them to where they are today. Welcome to the journey within you. What a glorious day it is. Today I have Melissa all the way from Arizona, right? And so
Yes.
today we're meeting this woman that loves Jesus first and foremost. She is a wife, she's a mom, but she's a holistic coach, and she helps women and teens navigate through the body image and food, right? Oh, Melissa, welcome today. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I want you to take us back on a journey. That's why I bring these women on and you to share your journey and how it has led you to where you are today.
Yeah, so it is a journey. I love
It
that you
is.
described it that way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I grew up in central Indiana. Part of my story is that my father was murdered when I was 2, so had pretty severe
Mm,
trauma at a young age. Um, so didn't know any different. I think, all we know growing up is what we know. And
yeah.
that was just what I knew. My mom remarried and I gained a stepbrother and a stepdad in the process. And
Wow.
there was a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt. My stepdad never adopted me, so I kind of felt like the
A
Lone Ranger with,
disconnect. Yeah.
yes, yes, because
Yeah.
everybody else had the same last name, and here I am, like the only one
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a
Were
different
you the
last
only
name.
child?
Yes, of my
Yeah.
mom and dad. Yes,
Oh,
yep.
wow. Okay.
So at a young age, I learned to go to food. Like food became my comfort. I would hide Pop-Tart cookies and candies and lots of sugary snacks in my room to try to feel better or to push the emotion
Mm-hmm.
down because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to handle them.
Yeah.
So that started in childhood and carried throughout. I grew up going to the Catholic Church, but it was very much we would go forward for communion. We would leave on Saturday night after communion because my parents had dinner plans. So we'd go out for communion, we'd walk out
Right
and
out. Yeah.
for the end. So that was,
So,
I mean,
so religion was not really, I mean, teaching of the religion really wasn't there. It was just a process.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel like, God was I knew he was there, but like there were things that I would pray about and he would answer and then I would question him. And so
Mm,
I don't feel like I had a faith really through my early years until college, really.
yeah.
Um, but college is where I met Jesus and I
Uh,
met him through my sorority, which is probably not the norm.
hmm,
So love that I got to meet him there and hear about the relationship with him, and food struggles still continued throughout, life and
yeah.
into marriage and motherhood. And finally, I think the point where the Lord really changed everything was I was a new mom with 2 babies. My husband was traveling for work, so I felt very alone. Our daughter was 2.5 and had some undiagnosed food allergies and sensory processing disorder. Our son was newborn, not sleeping at all, so I was exhausted.
Oh, worn out mom. Yeah.
Exactly, and very unfulfilled. So I thought, I'm going to live a life coach, and she's going to help me figure out this motherhood thing. It's going to be great.
Yeah. The answer to everything.
Right,
Oh, but
right.
I want to point out something that kind of hit me when you said
Yeah.
alone. You felt alone in childhood. And then
Mhm.
here you are, a wife and a proud mom, and you're still feeling alone.
And as a Christian, even. I mean,
Yeah.
let's clarify
Yeah.
that too, because I had accepted Christ and I'd been walking
Right.
with him for
Right.
years
Right.
at that point.
Yeah, because so that doesn't, again, that's not just because we become a believer doesn't mean that life turns into roses and gumballs and cotton candy and all the things. It sometimes gets harder, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So I
So
started making this. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, so you started. That's where it's
Yep.
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started meeting with this coach, and she, as God would have it, was also a licensed clinical social worker who had her own journey with trauma and diagnosed me with PTSD from childhood
Mm,
trauma.
mm,
And we switched at that point from coaching to therapy. And so through that diagnosis, I tried medicine. It didn't work for me. It might work for some people. I don't do one size fits all. So I'm not
yeah.
saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying that
Right.
just for
Right.
me,
Yeah.
it didn't work. So because of that, I met with a naturopath and learned about, hormones and minerals and vitamins and just really this pathway to holistic health and foods and all these things I had not known about before.
Hmm.
So met with her,
And you
went,
know why we don't know about that? And I'm
oh,
going to say this respectfully because the doctors don't know about it. They don't teach it.
right. And I think doctors get like one semester about
Yeah.
nutrition in their
Yeah.
medical school,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
insane.
And then about 50
Because
semesters on medication and why we should take tons of it. Okay. Said that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So same page.
Yeah. Flip the page quick.
Yep.
Oh.
So really just, learned all these things. And it was like, oh my gosh, I started to feel better. I started to have more energy. I wasn't as angry. And I really started to heal. I had gone to healing prayer rooms at our church and had people pray over me and
Oh, beautiful.
really just pressed in and was like, Lord, I don't want to be this angry, exhausted mom. Help me figure this out. And I believe
Mm,
he lined all those pieces up for me to get the help that I needed. And I think too, Laura, like with healing, we can sit and we can pray and we can pray and we can pray, and that's amazing.
hmm.
But if you look in the Bible, every time there's a healing, action's required. The man who'd been
Faith
paralyzed.
takes feet. You got to have
Yes,
feet with your faith.
yes,
And I
yes.
think so many, like you said, sit there and wait. And they're like, well,
Mhm.
he ain't doing anything. Well, what have you done? What have you done? Yeah.
And I think that's where the relationship comes in, right? Like it's
Yeah.
a partnership.
It's
Like
a trust.
yes, we do our part, he does his. Like that's how it works in a relationship with marriage, with kids. Like
Mm.
everybody has to do something to make
Mm-hmm.
it work.
Yes, yes. Not just 50-50. It's 100 doing. And I see that in so many people's walk and trusting him in the action of what they're wanting, the prayer. And I pray daily too, but I know that I got to do the work. And I ask him to show me how sometimes because I'm not always sure what steps to take.
Show me the next step, please. What am I
Yeah.
supposed to do?
Yeah. Yeah. And he puts somebody in your life, right? That
Yep.
helps you know the next step.
Absolutely.
Because they've experienced it and they know how to lead you or guide you through that. And I get
Mhm.
chills thinking about that. So many people have impacted my life that I wouldn't have allowed if I hadn't asked for it.
And I think that's the thing is we have to be willing to receive, right? Like we can't just say, "Oh my gosh, I've got this. I'm good. See you later." Like we
Mm-hmm.
have to be willing and open to receive, I think is a piece of it
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So you started through the therapies and then what came next?
Yeah, then I began to heal. I had more energy. I was more awake. I felt amazing. And I think what was kind of frustrating was a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, you've lost weight. You look amazing. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's good. But let me tell you how much better I feel. Let me tell you about my energy. Let me tell you about my mood. Like, who cares about the weight? Nice byproduct,
Yeah.
yes, but let's not focus on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's more than that for sure. And I think that's another thing. So many get focused on the weight thing. Weight will always be an issue with me, but it's not controlling me.
I think that's where I got to with food. Like for so long, food had become my crutch and it had become my everything. And then I would try the diets and try to figure out how to withhold and deprive. And it controlled so much of what I
Mm-hmm.
did. And
Mm-hmm.
really, when I learned about holistic healing and health, I'm like, wait, the food is just a small piece. It's like everything else that's a part of it. So, because of my journey, I went to school to become a holistic health and life coach. And now I get to help other women and even teen girls who are where I was. So, that's a little bit of the journey.
Yeah, I think the part of you being able to help teen girls is so valuable because they're struggling so now, since 2020, it impacted everybody. And so now the body image, all that is suffering. And if you can change the life of one girl, wow, what an impact that is to be able to reach that child in a time, it's what, probably 13? Is that a good age to guesstimate at? I remember 13 and how hard it was. Yeah. And it's so easy to just turn to food because it's, you know what, it's there all the time in front of us. I mean, I
It's
still deal with
legal,
it. Yeah.
it's legal, socially acceptable. And it's
Yeah.
to think even to the church, like a lot of what we do in the church
We
we
eat.
right? Like,
Yes. Yes. We eat.
mhm.
So tell me what's a typical like session or what are some key points that you work with them on?
Yeah, so it's always interesting. I just started with a new client yesterday, and first session is always goal setting.
Yeah.
And her goals had nothing to do with food. They had nothing to do with like food or even weight loss, but it was more about like, I want to be able to say no without feeling bad. I want to be able to be more flexible. And so it's like the things that cause us to turn to the food, it's like dealing with the root cause of that really, because it's not
Yeah.
ever the food, it's
It
the life.
didn't. There's something deep inside that's making you have these feelings, definitely. And that's hard time saying no. So they say yes, and then they go eat a pint of ice cream, and they're mad at themselves for saying yes. Yeah.
And
So
then
you,
they are mad at themselves and they feel bad. And so then they eat
mhm.
more to try to feel better. And just a vicious
It's a
cycle.
cycle. And so, what are some tools that you give them in like a situation like that?
Yeah. So we really kind of focus on the why behind the why. We create conditions for success in their calendar and their life because sometimes they just have too much going on and we just need to clear some things out and maybe really prioritize like where do you want to focus your time and energy right now? Where do you feel called? What's your bandwidth? What are you capable of?
Yeah,
Um,
bandwidth. That's a good one.
yeah, because we
I
all have
sometimes hear
limited
mine
ones.
being doing, doing, getting stretched a little too far. And I finally got smart and went in and set up my Canly better because I was just kind of like wide open. I was like, what am I doing to myself? Because I'm
Mhm.
like 4 and 5 people a day. No, that can't happen. And I do have to have days off for other things. And so I felt guilty at first. I'm like, no, this is running so much smoother now. I know I got 2 interviews and a recording. I can handle that, and it took a lot of pressure off me. I started color coding my planner, and now I look down and I know what that color means and where I'm at. And I really started focusing that in January because I was all over the place and I still have my 50 million pieces of paper because I'm the kind of girl like that. I grab a piece of paper, write something down. And I'm like, I might need to still fix that a little bit.
So
But,
good.
it's still, I've got more structure in my day, and you do feel so much better. And you don't have to feel bad about saying no about something because you've got something on the calendar. And maybe let's look at another date and I work it out with them. So that's a key thing with someone and their daily habits, right? And like
Absolutely.
you're talking about, there's more to just than the food. It's getting to the core of what's happening inside, mentally, physically, financially sometimes, right? Right now, that's a huge burden for so many. And so
Yeah.
why they pick up stuff that they think is cheaper and it's not helping them food wise, right? So do you help build like daily habits with their food though? Like
Yeah, that's
meal
what my
planning?
certification
Yeah,
is around is habit change. So it's not meal planning because it's not one size fits all. It's really helping them identify, okay, these foods make me feel really great. They give me energy, and these foods maybe don't make me feel so good.
yeah.
So it's really helping them connect to their bodies and what works for them because our
Hmm.
bodies are changing and what you need now might be different than what you need in 5 years. So it's
Right, right.
helping them tap in to their
And
own
I
body.
realize that too with food. Some days it'll make me feel horrible, and then other days it's not so bad. But I think it's what I've combined in that whole day of food that's making that feel so blah. Because like yesterday was a 2 hamburger day, and it wasn't planned that way. It was like, uh-oh, because I went to lunch with a friend. Well, where I went, they have the best hamburgers ever, and I had it. And then I came home and I had hanging on my fridge. Oh no, our meal tonight it's hamburgers. I was like, okay, well, we're having the 2 hamburger day and it's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
you make it work, but it didn't bother me. I was like, wow, that didn't really hit me. Usually that much beef would
Mm.
bother me. We've changed it to turkey hamburgers on most of our box meals and they've been much better. I don't feel the weight of the beef, which, they're good. They're still good. And then we like them. But I have found that's helped us with doing the box meals for the two of us here now. I have a planned meal. I know I'm getting my vegetable, my protein, all the things, and it's portioned really nicely. And you're not overeating, you're not throwing away. And then I don't feel so guilty about that. Because, when you have the food, what are you going to do? Oh, let's just get another serving because we have it. Oh,
And I
so
think
oh, go ahead.
yeah, of us were like raised with that mentality of we have to clean our plate. We have
Mm-hmm.
to be the good girl. And
Mm-hmm.
those
To get
beliefs,
dessert.
yeah, and maybe what we came from, it didn't serve us. It's not
Right.
serving us now with where we want to be. It might have worked then because it had to, but might not be now.
Yeah, exactly. So, how long does your program go for when you sign someone in?
12 weeks.
12? That's
Mhm.
awesome. I think that takes a lot of time with them. And is it once a week or once a
Yeah.
month? Yeah,
Yeah,
once a week.
once a week.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to keep them on track because they have the accountability and um I'm sure you're available other times too. If you're like me, you have some times that you can, they have a problem come up or a crisis and they're like, whoa, I need some extra help
Absolutely.
here. Do you have like forms and stuff to follow or paperwork and that kind of, do you do stuff like that? I know people love to write and journal, or do you encourage that?
I do encourage that. Usually, how it works is we have like the session, we have the topic, there's action items, and then I'll send them like what we've talked about, kind of the follow up. And
Yeah.
then there is a portion where journaling is one of the action items. So, yes, just
Yeah.
kind of meeting them where they're at. What do they need? What's going to work best?
Yeah, what to coach that day, what they need. Yeah, because every week I'm sure is different, a new obstacle or something they faced while they peel it away, right? Because sometimes they're not sure what their core healing needs because there may be several. I know that. And healing is always going to be it's not a one and done, right? And I hope that's something I try to stress so many times. It's not, okay, I read this book and I'm good. No, that
I
felt good
tried
for
that, it doesn't work.
it doesn't work. And I mean they're great books. I've got them all around me and I read them and they did empower me and they've given me good tools, but it's not gotten to the core of what you have to heal with. And I did, like I was saying, I went through that. I think it's been almost 2 years already. Went through a deep core healing and I was like, wow, I never knew that was buried so deep. So that is so valuable to catch that at such a young age because look how long you carried yours with your father being murdered at a young age when you really didn't understand it and you're only told for so many years of what, but you didn't really know why and how am I supposed to feel with that? How am I supposed to carry that? And then you
And
finally
we
got,
carry it, and it comes out in weird ways.
oh,
You know
doesn't
what I
it?
mean? Yeah.
Yes. You're like, and then you don't really see that till you've gone through the healing process of that. Because that was me. I was like, oh, well, that's why I made the decisions like I did with this
Mhm.
incident and this incident. And they were all popping up. And I knew that's because I had that inside me and I didn't realize it. I thought I had gotten rid of it, and you don't. So, I mean, I think, having the books and having those resources are good. I think also looking at your movement, are you moving your body every day? I struggle with that. I'm not good at that. I tell myself I need to be walking and I sit here. I don't move out there. And I'm like, I've got to get unstuck with that. It's like driving me crazy. And so it's just doing it, taking action, you know, faith has feet and doing the work. And I know it's probably such a rewarding thing for you when you see those light bulb moments with your clients and seeing them awaken and know, because you had that feeling and now it's transforming and going into the others and, getting to share Jesus with them and know that, that's the core right there of any healing is having him
Mhm.
a part of your life and getting connected with that community. Because some don't have a church or maybe a person in their life that they can connect with. And so I'm one if they need that, I love to encourage. I love to be a part of their life and their journey. And I know you do. Um, but we need more people like that, right?
I'll need to link arms.
Uh-huh. Link arms, yes. In a positive,
Mhm.
way and an encouraging way. And if people feel that community, they're gonna come in and they're gonna be like, ooh, this feels good and this is where I belong. And Jesus will be there. I mean, and they're going to see that. That's all I ask. Let people see Jesus in me, as I share every day with people, um, because it's a beautiful thing. And I don't want to do life without him. It's too scary.
Yeah,
It's too
it
hard
is.
with what's going on in our world today, you know? So, what is something that you would like to leave with the audience today, the listeners, to encourage them about body image?
I think just to know that you matter and you're worth taking care of. And our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit. The Bible is very clear about that. We're also called to love our neighbor as ourselves. And I think we're
Mm.
really good at chopping off that as yourself part and just focusing on love your neighbor. But we're also called to love ourselves. And that
Mm.
doesn't make us vain. It doesn't make us selfish. Like I think there is a healthy discipline in self-care that is a way of honoring the Lord and self-stewardship and really being faithful with what he's given you. So just know that you matter, you're worth taking care of, and you don't have to stay stuck. You can be free from whatever is hindering you, whether it's food or body image or whatever that might be.
Yes, amen. I love that. Okay, so I told you, I might have mentioned to you that I have these scripture cards that I love to share. And so I sit and shuffle them, and whatever's on top is our scripture that's meant for today. And so let's just see what he has to say to us today. Do everything in love. First
Mm.
Corinthians 16:14. That's beautiful. And that's the thing, that love is the greatest gift of all, right? And so if we can't do it in love, then we don't need to be doing it. We need to be doing everything in love, and that's loving yourself,
I was
loving
just
your
gonna say
neighbor
that
as
applies to
yourself.
us.
I know. See, chills because that's God. He knew what we had to have today. And one more question before we close up today is, what is something you like to collect?
Ooh. The first thing that caught my eye, Laura, when you asked that was cacti. Like, I think since I moved to Arizona, I become a collector of cacti. Like, I've got the earrings, I've got the
Oh,
bedding,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's
Well, I
cacti.
mean, it's part of the thing, right? For there.
Yes,
I always put my phone cover on that has all the little cactus on it before I come
yes,
there. And I'll be there in
yes.
January, in Scottsdale. Are you close to that?
Yeah, we're like 20 minutes from Scottsdale.
Oh, cool. Maybe we can meet up. I'd love to
That'd be
see you
great.
in person. That's in January.
Yes,
I'll keep you posted on that. But
yes.
Melissa, thank you for sharing your heart today. It was such a blessing to have you on my podcast today.
Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for joining my podcast today. We all have a story to share. Each story has purpose and makes an impact to you, the listener, creating a journey with passion and purpose. The journey we're taking is the journey within you. Please share with others and subscribe below.